You are watching the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
And we're live.
Last time I checked.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, beginning of the
Happy
weekend.
Friday.
Yeah, how's everyone's weekend starting?
Well, I'm here.
Yeah.
So really
It's a good way to start the weekend.
I think so. I think it's so. Gets the weekend batteries charged, as it were.
Yeah.
Me and all my friends.
Yeah.
Yay.
So there's only one news item today. Like my news feed has been absolutely overwhelmed with the one thing that happened today.
It's that
Kim
fusion
Kardashian's puppy had an
No, it's that-
Instagram post.
That's correct.
It's that incremental
Oh, wow.
fusion breakthrough.
That
So,
too.
as I'm sure all of you have heard by now, Trump and Melania have tested positive for COVID, and they apparently got it from Hope Hicks. We're still learning about who else has it. Mike Pence and his wife apparently are tested negative, and Joe Biden tested negative. There was concern that he might have been exposed during the debate on Tuesday. Trump's not clear exactly when he was exposed. It could have been on Saturday, could have been on Wednesday. So he, because he was exposed multiple times. But so this is, obviously very, serious situation, and it does highlight, I think, the fact that the Trump administration hasn't really been taking the virus as seriously as they should have, and their protocols in the West Wing have been described as lax, So, but we'll see how it plays out. Right now, they're saying that he is mildly symptomatic, just with a fever. I haven't heard anything else.
I heard he was a little hoarse
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, those are pretty typical symptoms.
Yeah.
So,
Steve, how long would it take the average person to fully get the worst version of the symptoms?
it's very variable because it depends on what your inoculation was. Like, how much did you get? Right? Would you get a little bit of virus?
Viral load, right?
Or did you get a huge exposure? That will, and then it depends on your immune system and your overall health. So it's as you know, some people are forever asymptomatic. They would never know that they had it except that if they got tested. And other people get sick, very, very sick fairly quickly. And you often don't know exactly when you contracted it. Sometimes I guess you do, but so the incubation period can be very short. Could be days, but it could be up to a week or so. Usually, just to be on the safe side, typically they do a 2-week, quarantine if you were exposed, that sort of thing, to be sure that you're not going to develop late symptoms or become positive later.
The whole thing is so fatiguing.
Yeah,
It's like getting hit on the head with news. It's so oppressive at this point. The 24-hour news cycle is just it can kill you.
Yeah. So
like,
don't
definitely
consume it the way
I know, but we
you should
live in it.
treat it like sugar or something. Just consume small quantities.
I just, and on that note, I do want to get to science news and other things because I think we have been talking about it a lot. But I do want to talk about one thing because it's come up multiple times.
The hoax thing, right, Steve?
No. Well,
Okay.
tell me what hoax thing?
Which hoax?
Well, the idea that he doesn't really have it. And
I think I would just dismiss that out of hand. I think that's not plausible. But in any case,
So what were you talking about?
I was talking about the question of Fauci at first not recommending masks and then later recommending masks, and what was the reason for the flip? President Trump brought that up during the debate, and then I think because of that, I've been hearing that echoed in many forums in the last couple of days. So I just want to put to rest what happened there. If you guys remember, if you go back to last November, I actually spoke about the efficacy of wearing a mask before COVID even hit. Remember that? We were in Australia, and there's a very large Asian population in Australia, and I noticed that many Asian people wear masks, just out in the public, just routinely. And so I researched why that is. It turns out it's because ever since the previous pandemic,
swine flu,
the SARS-CoV-1, that the government actually told the people wear face masks in public, and they did. So that just became standard operating procedure for many people. So what I found at the time, so remember, this is pre-COVID. The evidence was that if you are being exposed to somebody who is sick, it's helpful. If you're in a situation where you have a high risk, a high density of people who may be sick, it's helpful. But in the general population, out in the public, where with background levels of illness, there's no evidence that it's effective, but that's probably because the baseline risk is so low that it's hard to find evidence that something works, right? When the possibility of improvement is so teeny tiny. So the general recommendation was, yes, wear it if you're taking care of somebody who's sick. Wear it if you're like in a situation where people can be sick, but there's no need to wear it out in the public. So, in February and early March, when the pandemic hit in the United States, at least, when there was as yet no evidence that the COVID had hit U.S. shores. But we were sort of preparing for it, or the first cases were happening, but we didn't see, there were single digits of cases and there was no person-to-person spread. The recommendation from the CDC, from Fauci, et cetera, was you don't need to wear a face mask out in the public routinely. And part of the reason for that was, one, because that's what the evidence was, what I said, but also because, if you remember, there was a shortage of masks. And they didn't want to divert the limited supply of masks away from healthcare workers and people,
first responders,
and first responders, people on the front line, so that people at low risk would wear them without even any proof of efficacy. But of course, once the pandemic hit and we started to get thousands of people infected and we were seeing extensive person-to-person spread, that by itself shifted the equation. There was already evidence that wearing a mask works in that situation, but also we were starting to get our mask supplies were up so that there was enough to go around. And so that the recommendation shifted for those two reasons. And it was completely evidence-based. It was situationally based. But trying to spin this now is, why did they flip? Initially, they said the masks aren't good.
Because the situation changed?
It's silly, right?
Right.
The situation changed, And then throughout this time, so the other thing to keep in mind is at the beginning of COVID, we were extrapolating from evidence with other respiratory illnesses. And then once there was enough experience, but as soon as COVID started, we started doing research with COVID. And it turns out that COVID is particularly responsive to face masks because it's largely spread by the large droplets that masks actually prevent. reduce the spread of. So it actually works, really well for COVID, all things considered. So that was the other thing. In the background, we were getting more evidence that, yes, it works. It works for this pandemic. It's working for this illness. It's a good public health measure. So those are the things that were changing, and the recommendations were evolving with the evidence and the situation, like it's supposed to. And it's just silly to look back and say, well, why did they initially say that we shouldn't wear, face masks? Just silly. But anyway, I thought it'd be helpful to clarify that, even though when people know basically why the change was, it's good to know the details so that you can give a concise answer if somebody brings it up.
Details count.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some science news.
Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about Venus again, because there's a lot of interest in Venus. We obviously, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the fact that they found phosphine in the clouds of Venus, and that's a pretty compelling signature of life. And so far, it's still the best candidate in terms of what could be causing the phosphine signal. But of course, we can't rule out abiotic sources. And then there was a follow-up study where they said, it actually wouldn't take that much life, in order to produce the phosphine signal. So it's definitely within the range of plausibility. So I wrote about another study today, which was just asking the question, well, could Venus have ever been hospitable to life at the surface, And the answer is
Well, sure.
That, a billion, as recently as 1 billion years ago.
Oh yeah, well, just back a little bit, 1 billion years.
Yeah, but solar system is 4.5 billion years old, so that's not that long ago. Venus,
but we've always known, right, Steve, that that Venus is a classic example of a runaway greenhouse.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that implies that before the greenhouse ran away, it was much more pleasant. So sure.
Yeah. So what they found was they did a computer model looking at the effect of Jupiter migrating in to the inner solar system and then going back out to where it is now, which we knew from other studies.
That did happen.
Yeah, probably would happen.
We encounter solar systems, many in fact, and I think among the first exoplanets we found were so-called hot Jupiters, where you would have a Jupiter-sized gas giant really close to the parent star, like Mercury close.
It's
crazy
10%.
close.
10% of exoplanets are hot Jupiters, and 1% of exosystems have at least one hot Jupiter. Just 1% though, which means 99% don't, which is good. In terms of life.
Right, because it wreaks havoc. And I remember when they first discovered it, they were like, "Well, how does this form? How could a gas giant form so close to the parent star? It doesn't make any sense." And then we came up with this idea that it was migrating in. So you're saying now that our Jupiter may have migrated in and then migrated out?
Yes.
What's the mechanism behind that?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Because of Saturn, probably.
Saturn pulled Jupiter
gravitational
back?
tugging of Saturn moved Jupiter to its current orbit and stabilized it. But also, this is the new bit with the new study, that Jupiter's dalliance closer into the inner solar system probably stabilized the orbits of like Venus and Earth and made them more circular. Venus has the most circular orbit of any planet in our solar system.
Right. The least.
I think it's 0.0006 eccentricity or something. So just because of the way it tugs on the orbit, it would have smoothed it out, right? It would have, the way it interacted with the orbit of Venus, it would have tugged it more when it was farther out or whatever. It would have, the computer model show it would have made the orbit more circular.
I would think it would wreak havoc in the inner solar system.
Well, it probably did that too, but the planets that it wreaked havoc with are gone.
Right?
Yeah, then
they get ejected or they fall into the sun or whatever.
Well,
and the ones that get put into a stable orbit are the ones that survive.
Stabilized.
Yeah.
I mean, how many more planets could we have in the inner solar system? How many could Jupiter have knocked out?
Depends how old the system is, right?
Remember, we've found systems with 7 planets within the orbit of like where Mercury is or where Venus is.
Geyser. Yeah. I remember that one. That was crazy.
But are those destined to collide or,
I don't know. Now, again, if they were in stable orbits, they could last for a long time. So anyway, that's probably what's kicked off Venus's runaway greenhouse gas. But what that means is though, as recently as 1 billion years ago, Venus may have had life and liquid water on the surface, And then the life, if there is life in the clouds of Venus today, it's probably the descendants of that life that survived, right? But that also raises the possibility, as we've spoken about previously with Mars, is did life at any point go among any of the three worlds? Did it go from Venus to Earth to Mars to Earth, whatever? And did it arise 3 times, twice, once? Which direction did it spread? Where did it start? Every permutation's on the table, basically.
Yeah, imagine, wouldn't it be cool if Mars seeded Venus and Earth, or if Venus seeded Earth, but not Mars, and Mars was independent? I mean, just you just
any
permutations and combinations. That's I can't wait till we can get some genetic data.
Yeah. We have to
assuming there's life there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
but,
no life.
What a great candidate! I mean, what a great new and old candidate Venus. Re-becomes in a way. It's so close. Just, I mean, it should be nothing for us to get there and do these analyses.
And not just so close, but Venus has always been called the Earth's twin in terms of like size. At least Mars is tiny. You look at the comparison between Mars and Earth; they're vastly
Mars is
different
tiny.
in size.
Yeah, Venus is almost exactly the same size as Earth.
Right.
Isn't it odd though that a planet that is roughly the size of the Earth in the same solar system is so different chemically? It's just a completely different, different atmosphere and everything there.
Well, that's kind of the idea, is like how fragile
it's so contingent
is our current situation. Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, that of course makes me think, and I think about it probably every day at this point, just about how we're not even coming close to taking care of the environment. Like it seems like nobody's truly interested. Like we need to be spending billions of dollars a year. Every government should be spending as much money as they can and doing as much as they can. It just doesn't. It's not moving fast enough.
Yeah, I mean it's moving, but it's not. Yeah, it's probably not fast enough of just letting it go by itself. So the estimates are that by 2025. It'll be cheaper to buy an electric car than a gasoline car.
So that's it. I mean, economics will
to own one. It's cheaper in terms of fuel and maintenance, but it's more expensive to buy one. But by 2025, that's probably where the lines will cross. And once that happens, why not buy an electric car? Right?
There will be no reason. Economics will take over at that point.
Infrastructure.
Well, infrastructure is the obvious answer to that question.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you have
that will come. I mean that, and that's can come quickly.
Even with the existing infrastructure, right? You have a car with a range of 350 miles, let's say. For most people, for most days, most of the use, you just charge it overnight and you're good for the next day. And so the infrastructure is your home. You just plug it into the wall, and you don't even want to use a supercharger because that reduces the life expectancy of your battery. Yeah. It shortens the lifespan of your battery.
That sucks.
So you use that only in emergencies, only when you really need to. But you really just want to plan your driving around charging off peak overnight, and then you're good to go the next day. And again, for a high percentage of driving, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. And then if and then as the more infrastructure we get in terms of charging stations, then the better. It's only it'll become better from where it is now. You know what I mean? But even now it's fine. Whereas with hydrogen, I just wrote about hydrogen too this week. That's why it's on my mind. So the UK just had the maiden voyage of their first hydrogen train, which I thought was a great idea. I don't know if it's going to be the most economic way to run trains, but when you think about it. Hydrogen trains.
Weight doesn't matter.
Weight doesn't matter as much. Size doesn't matter as much. Safety, you could just put it. You could secure it a lot easier. You don't have to put it near people. And also filling stations. They don't need to be everywhere. The trains are literally on rails. They just need to be at train stations. You know what I mean? So the infrastructure is super easy compared to hydrogen cars.
So what's the benefit?
Just can they make it cheaper? Again, it's going to come down to, you could fill up in 5 minutes, right? You can't do that with a battery. So it's what it's competing against, what hydrogen trains are competing against. Well, two things: diesel engines, which got to go, right? Or electrifying the rail, and then use it to electricity and the train doesn't carry its own electricity, it just goes on the rail, electricity from either an overhead line or a third rail. So the question is, which one of those two models, hydrogen or electrified rail, is more convenient, has the better infrastructure, is more cost effective? And I haven't read a head-to-head analysis. So I guess it will depend. And maybe they're both close enough that different countries will have different ones. But the UK right now is looking into hydrogen trains, which is interesting.
So how do they produce the hydrogen though? Doesn't a lot of that come from fossil fuels?
Yeah, well, it's a separate question. Right now it does. I mean, you'd have to make it with electrolysis of water, hopefully powered by renewable energy or nuclear or something that's not, that's carbon neutral. If you're burning gas to make the hydrogen, you've accomplished nothing, right?
Same with electricity.
Yeah, exactly. Same. So, if you're burning coal to charge up your car, it doesn't help you either.
My wife and I are extraordinarily close to having to buy a car. We promised each other that we would drive the two cars that we own right now. We would drive them basically until they turn to dust as we're driving them. And we're kind of getting to that point. And I'm seriously considering buying an electric car.
Yeah, sure.
I think we're right on that cusp.
Yeah, we've already my wife and I have already decided the next car we buy is going to be all electric. And because my younger daughter, has her license, and
so we'll probably give Trump is her heading to Walter Reed. Is Walter Reed a hospital?
Yes, Walter Reed's a hospital.
If he's going to the hospital, what does that mean?
Who is what?
The hospital. What is it?
If Trump is going to a hospital, what do you think that means?
That's
that's not a good sign. It means he's sick enough that they probably would have him.
They want to do additional tests
anyway. Yeah. But it means whatever they need to do, they can't do in the West Wing. They can't just have like a doctor's bag and a doctor there. They want him to go to a hospital. They probably want to do a chest X-ray, blood work.
Yeah. All right, let's click back to the car thing because people were bringing up some good points.
Yeah.
So, and I like having this conversation in the stream because there's a lot of intelligent people that are listening to this, and we can get some good feedback. So I was actually looking at the Kia SUVs. Kia and so Hyundai owns 30% of Kia, and the two car companies have a lot of crossover. But Kia has gotten a much better reputation, and the reviews I'm reading are very good. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure which SUV to go with, whether I should go electric. What do I have to have in the house? Do I have to charge it at my house? If I do, what does that mean?
You plug it into the wall.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't need to get like a power wall or any of that
Only
stuff?
if you want to. No, you don't need a power wall, but you can get a supercharger, something that will charge it like in 2 hours. But again, as I said, you don't want to use that routinely because that will shorten the life expectancy of the battery. You want to charge it off the 220 current in your house.
Yeah.
You might want to eventually get the supercharger so that if you're, you need to top off your battery for quickly, you at least have that option as an emergency. But it's kind of an expensive emergency, Not a deal breaker, but it's not cheap. But if you, just plug it into your wall and you're good. As long as it's just a matter of it's going to be a matter of like remembering to plug it in when you park it in the garage every night, and it'll have a timer built in that will say, start charging at 1 a.m, whenever your off peak is.
Yeah.
Or depending on how long it takes to completely charge the battery. So
knowing me though, get up the next day like crap. I forgot to plug in the damn car.
You can't
I'm not going to work tonight.
No, it's about planning.
You just set an alarm every night. I have alarms that go off in my house all the time.
Yeah, but that's fine. But it's going to happen. Once in a while, you're gonna be like,
you'll have but you'll have some smartphone app that will remind you.
Even then, come on, me.
Bob,
I will forget.
We're talking Bob, not average. Yeah. Okay, right.
Once in a while, something comes up. Like, oh crap. Because what gets me is like when I'm like, I remember to do this, I'll do it in a little while, and then I just never do it. That happens for all the time.
Once you procrastinate it's gone.
So we need robots.
Write notes. Always have paper and pen.
Yeah,
we need robots to help plug in our cars.
Well, I'm excited about getting an electric car. One, because they're very quiet. which I love. I think that's awesome. And two, because I dealing with gasoline and having to fill up a car, I don't know what it is, but I have, for my entire life, I've always hated getting out of my car and having to put gasoline in it. I hate it.
Did you like when someone else did it for you?
I don't like touching things that other people touch. I don't like, just gasoline to me is really a dirty, it's just not good for the environment. I'm always kind of like, Jesus, why are we still dealing with gasoline,
Yeah.
And the other thing is the maintenance is very low on electric cars, which I think is that's awesome. That I spend so much money on my cars, just keeping them, going. It's, it gets to the point where it's not worth it. To keep a car on the road, you get to a tipping point where you might as well just be paying, a loan.
And Jay, higher on my personal list would be the torque of an electric car.
Yeah.
That is like, I have never felt it. I've been in a Tesla a few times. Never felt acceleration like that ever in my life. It's like a race car. You're just pinned against that seat like I've never been pinned before. It was exhilarating.
Yeah.
I think I might kill myself.
Race car.
If I had one, because that's just intense, crazy torque.
Well, can you adjust it? I don't know. Is that?
Who'd wanna?
I don't know.
No, it is what I mean. I don't think you could.
Well, if you're gonna, you don't want to hurt yourself or
no. I mean, you
others.
get you get used to it like anything. But if you just need to pass in a pinch, you got the acceleration that could do it. It's insane. Yeah. It's so noticeable. You're just like, I've never felt this before in a gas car. Not the ones that I've driven anyway.
That's an interesting thing. Like most of these cars, if not all of the electric cars that come out now, they come with an app. You can do all sorts of stuff. And I think that's interesting. It'll give you like exact mileage and energy efficiency. And, we were saying before, like, Bob, your app will tell you when your car needs to be charged. Like it would be very difficult, I think, to not be on top of that.
Right now, I'm not an electric car.
I think it should auto charge.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned hybrid.
Auto plug in.
I'm just not into it. If I'm going to go anything electric, I'm going full electric.
Oh, no
hybrids. No hybrid, Jay.
Jay, it's a hybrid.
A hybrid. I know.
Right.
Think about it. If I bought a hybrid car, I'd have to say that like 3 or 4 times a day. It's a hybrid.
Jay, our friend Steve Blackwell just sent a text to us. He's like, gas was fun when you used it as a flamethrower in the lower driveway.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Have we told that story?
We all didn't have a gas pump at our house.
Yeah, my dad. So our father had a construction business. He was a custom home builder, and he stored a lot of material and stuff at the house. We had a lower driveway, and that was where all like the work trucks went. And he ended up getting a regular gasoline gas pump at the house to fill up all the work vehicles because he would buy the gasoline in bulk, and it would be much less expensive.
And he buried a tank. He buried a tank in down by the driveway, the lower side of the house, something that you probably cannot do anymore. I don't think, what it would take nowadays to bury a tank that you're going to fill gas with. I don't think you could even be allowed to do it. But
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, if it's on your private property, as long as you get an inspection and all that stuff, you probably.
I don't know, man. I remember somebody telling me that can't really do that today.
So anyway, but the important thing here is there was 4 young boys in a house that had a gas pump, and we knew where the key was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why our parents were under this delusion that we weren't messing with gasoline all the time, but we were.
I mean,
and I almost blew up the house. I almost burned myself alive and blew up the house.
So Jay and I were there. Jay, I remember like filling like little cups, like with the gasoline. What would we do with it? Like we'd like pour it out on the ground and light it on fire. And but what I remember from that day, Jay, from the gasoline day, we were somehow we were doing something, and I saw the flame go up the nozzle of the gas dispenser. So when that happens, that's it. Game over. You're going to be dead within moments. So we drop it and we ran. We just totally ran, just waiting for this, the movie explosion where it's going to blow and you run away in slow motion and you just. So, but it never happened. It didn't blow. I don't know why it never blew up, but we thought we were dead, and that was a fun day.
Yeah, it's scary though. I mean, gasoline, like horrible things can happen to someone if you get gasoline on you and you catch on fire. Like it changes your life. That's how bad it is. But I mean, back in the 70s when we were growing up, I mean, everything we did was incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything. We used to do things on BMX
It was
bikes.
insanity. It's
Yeah, it was
amazing we're
insanity.
alive.
How did we survive? And Jay, sticking with the fire theme, I think I've said this on the podcast. I would take those plastic stirrers, those little stirrer sticks made of plastic, and then I would take styrofoam, like those when you buy a radio, it would come. You have that styrofoam shaped thing that would encase the product. So I would get those, and they looked kind of like science fiction buildings. So I would put that styrofoam on the ground, and I would take a lighter and light the stick, the plastic stick. Yeah. And every now and then, a ball of flaming plastic would drop and land on the styrofoam building and eat away. It would eat away a chunk of it, and then it would go out. It would not burn, but it would just being hit with a photon torpedo or something. So I would pretend I was a ship in orbit hurling down these flaming balls of plasma, and I would invariably burn myself one way or the other. Nothing horrible, but I went to bed many nights growing up with my on my face laying down with my arm over the bed in a glass of cold water because my finger was burned. And man, if I took it out of the cold water, it would really hurt. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I'm just happy I'm not scarred or dead.
Jay, remember that 747 model that our other brother worked on for months? Yeah. And then when it was all done, Jay thought it would be a good idea to see what it looked like if it crashed. And so you destroyed it, basically?
I didn't just destroy it.
How did you destroy it?
We melted it. We melted pieces of it. We had, like, the wing was, we used fire to make it look like it had burned. I mean, the plastic caught on fire a few times as me and my friend were doing this. I mean, my God, the things that we did when we were kids, like, just when I say that this time, when I say the things that we did, the things that we got away with were just ridiculous. So many times we almost killed each other on multiple occasions.
Walking
Steve,
you
almost
roof?
killed yourself jumping out of a tree into another tree.
Yeah, we used to love to climb trees. We would climb to, like, see how high we can get into the tree, like, until it was dangerous, like, seriously dangerous. Yeah. And I did try to jump from one branch to another, swung out, lost my grip, and fell like 10 feet like this and broke both wrists at the same time. That was fun.
Oh, my God.
And then you re-broke your wrist later in life.
I know what you're going to say, Bob. I know what you're going to say right now.
Well, there's two things I'm going to say now, Jay. I remember when I heard about it, I was upstairs. Mom says, guys, come here. And we run out. I forget, were you with me, Jay? Steve broke both his arms. He's going to the hospital. And I said, that's awesome. I just thought it was the coolest thing. So Steve comes back with two casts, one on each arm. Both arms were cast. And I remember we would play wiffle ball in grammars in school, and instead of swinging the bat, which he couldn't do, he would hit the wiffle ball with his cast and then just run the bases, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it's fine.
I remember playing wiffle ball in our backyard, and Steve hit it. He hit the wiffle ball out of the yard, and everybody was like, "Oh my God!" Like with his cast. That was amazing.
And for years, my mom thought Steve broke both arms by running and tripping over a stump, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the story?
That's the story.
That was the story.
Yeah, we knew the truth.
Mom would believe. A mom would believe that. Yeah. She ever learned the truth, or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So if I see her someday, I'm not going to be revealing any grand 50-year secret.
No,
okay.
The secrets are all gone now.
Yeah, those are gone.
They're all just good stories at this point.
And she's so forgetful that you could tell her over and over, and she re-experiences the knowledge for the first time, multiple times.
We would challenge each other to jump out of trees as high as possible.
Yes,
if you recall that.
Even worse than that, I remember, Steve, we would hang from a specific branch, and we would land, and we would see who could land and not bend their knees. Like, let's destroy our knees in the future by trying to land and not bend, have no absorption. It's like,
oh my God,
put it all on your joints and bones.
The not yet fully developed brain in action.
And you remember the swing set, of course. So
yes,
so we had a giant, like, schoolyard size metal swing set, right? And So we weren't content to just swing on it, of course. We had to climb on top of it, first of all.
And how high was that? We're talking what,
12 feet? Probably.
No,
20 feet?
Yeah,
20 is a lot.
18 feet. This is like a
ridiculously
schoolyard
high.
swing set.
That's a second floor window.
15 feet, maybe 15 feet.
At the
And the other thing
lowest.
we did, if you guys did a bunch of stuff, but the other thing that sticks out is,
A
so
bunch
there
of
was an
stuff.
apple tree in front of the swing set. And the challenge was to swing high enough that you could leap off the seat and make it over the apple tree. You guys remember that? Jumping over that tree from the swings?
I don't remember jumping over it.
We never made it.
Yes, we did.
It didn't stop you from
when
trying.
it was small,
no.
before it got too big.
I've got no memory of it.
Well, we wouldn't clear it, but we would, get to the other side of it. Took a couple
Eventually.
of branches with us, probably.
They're literally in the chat. They're talking about me peeing when I was a kid. That's how much our listeners know us. Oh my God.
Well,
Oh, my
all
God.
right, we got to tell it now, Jay.
Oh my God, really?
Come on, man.
Let me just
Own
say
it.
this. When I was
Own
in
it.
medical school, I knew this already. I knew it from personal experience, family experience, that the size of the stream that men make when they urinate is entirely a function of the diameter of the external meatus, right? It has 100% to do with the size of the hole at the end. And if your hole was smaller than average or typical, you would have a really tiny stream. But of course, it would be under high pressure, so it would go very far. This isn't a good thing to go through life with because it's a lot of stress on your bladder, and potentially your kidneys. But but when you're young, it's just look how far I could pee, right? So that story relates to Jay in a very
guys,
direct way.
yeah.
He would be able to, standing in a room, he would be able to hit the ceiling with his stream. That's how high he could hit. I mean, it was like 8 to 10 feet, at least 8 feet stream he could reach.
We would have our friends come over and see how far he could pee.
Watch JP because it was it was like, it was his superpower.
It was a superpower, absolutely.
And then the doctor took away that superpower.
They surgically removed it.
Oh.
So my son Dylan had the same thing. He had the same surgery.
Yeah.
So some genetic thing.
I guess so.
But I do have memories of like extraordinary feats of peeing when I was a kid. Like I just, I don't know I don't remember anything about tanking up. Like I don't know if I was like preparing myself for any of these exhibitions that we would have, but I didn't make any money on it, so that's a bummer.
Yeah, we should have monetized that.
Right?
Then.
We didn't know what monetizing was back then.
You needed to Barnum that one.
Pay a nickel to sit. The funny thing is that our father was worse than all of us when it came to this. I mean,
in his childhood?
No, as our father. I mean, as a role model. Why do you think we did all this? It was partly because the whole summer
encouraged it.
The whole summer was basically a fireworks extravaganza.
Total playground.
Yeah, where we would basically, what would be the coolest thing we could blow up? And of course, Dad could get the good fireworks, the M80s, like the really powerful ones. And you guys remember that? You get the ones with the wax wick, and those will blow up underwater. So we would throw them in the pool, and it'd be like a depth charge.
Right. Or his favorite was when we would be playing tennis. He'd sneak down to the court and throw an M80. Wait, is it M80?
The M80 or cherry bomb.
That's big.
M80, he had M80s, cherry bombs.
Which one was below? Which one was
the cherry bomb?
The smallest was the cherry bomb. Yeah. The M80 was the bigger red one, right? With the wax wick. So he would throw that like 20 feet from where we were playing in the backyard, and it would blow, and we were like, what the hell? There'd be a crater like this big in the ground. I mean, that was
that was the
loud
other
and awesome.
Maximally dangerous thing we had access to was explosives.
We had access to explosives.
We had access to like a quarter stick of dynamite.
We have all of our fingers. It's
one
amazing.
might argue the gasoline pump was more dangerous.
We also had access to loaded weapons. I mean, let's be fair.
It was the 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, We never really.
Wow, access to weapons.
Well, I mean, you know, like it
Holy
was just there were weapons, and my dad had hunting rifles, a Luger.
But no gun cabinet locked up.
There was a gun cabinet,
Oh,
but we knew where the
eventually.
key was.
Well,
Evan, there wasn't a lock that we couldn't pick. We could get into anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, kids will do that. What is it with your fascination of my mystery closet?
Yeah.
Somebody wrote, "Sounds like you all got the Acme starter pack every Christmas."
Starter pack.
Yeah, influenced by Wile E. Coyote.
Oh man. No, we were into everything. We were into archery, and like again, safeties were off. Everything that we did, you know, we would, you know,
like
if you shouldn't do it, we basically did it. Yeah.
Like Jay's archery story. That's a good one.
Yeah. You don't have to go there.
Almost killed me.
I remember that one time I was trying to shoot there was a bee's nest, like a full nest in the tree in the front yard. So I went up to the second floor and was trying to put an arrow through it, through the window in the second floor of our house. Now, it was basically impossible because, you know, it was like a paper wasp nest and it was round. And so no matter how dead center I hit it, it would ricochet off. But I kept trying, man. And of course the arrows go in completely random directions. You know, but it didn't stop me. I really wanted to put an arrow through that nest.
Let me ask you guys a question. So I read a recent science article about this new plastic eating enzyme.
Yep.
First of all, this sounds to me like something like there has been stories about enzymes that can eat oil, you know, like an oil spill and blah, blah, blah. This plastic eating enzyme, though, sounds like we desperately need it to clean up the oceans. But I'm trying to find anything that is like the downside of it. Like what would be the reason why we wouldn't release a plastic eating enzyme into the wild?
An enzyme or a bacteria?
It's an enzyme.
But how do you release it into the wild?
Right.
Well, isn't that what we would do? Like, don't we want to have it get rid of the plastic that's in the ocean?
But I mean, like as a spray, like you just spray like a crop duster?
What is the vector for those
Here's
things?
the summary from the...
yeah, give me the summary.
Document. The same team who re-engineered the plastic-eating enzyme, Pet Taste, has now created an enzyme cocktail which can digest plastic up to 6 times faster. So that's what the short is. But I'm not really seeing how... I mean, maybe they would put it in landfills. I'm just not sure what the delivery mechanism is. Like, how much would we
could you put it in the ocean, and is it toxic to animals?
Yeah, right. You can't put stuff in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
They have to mass
things
produce
become
this
so
stuff.
infinitesimally dilute in the ocean.
Yeah, just too many unanswered questions.
I just, you know, this though sounds to me like technology like we need like, you know, technology that can get rid of certain types of waste and things like that. Plastic is probably our biggest. All right, that's a good question. What is our worst waste product that we want to get rid of today? Is it plastic?
Could be, you know, nuclear waste would be good to get rid of too.
Yeah, but the Gen 4 reactors get rid of that.
Yeah,
kind of
right.
waste.
Turns makes fuel out of it.
Yeah, we need those reactors just to get rid of our nuke waste. So I get excited over news articles like this, and I'm just, you know, I'm waiting to hear that they're in use. You know, it just sucks. It's always that. It's always like these articles you read and you realize like it never scales up. It's not cost effective once it scales up. You know.
Right. So a lot of people are putting in the chat. So I just did a quick search to see what the news is. So Trump was sent to Walter Reed Hospital. The White House is saying this is a preventive move, that they want to keep him under observation there for a few days. That he's feeling fatigued, but that he'll continue to work from the presidential suite in the hospital. So that's the information we have right now. You know, I think if he was like short of breath, they probably wouldn't be saying that. But we'll see. We'll obviously have to follow that closely.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, you know, in this instance, they need to keep it under wraps. You don't go unless it's leaked or whatever. It's just not good to say that the president or the leader of some country is like
incapacitated.
In really bad shape. Yeah, incapacitated. Sure, it's just not. It's not the kind of thing that you want instantly put out there. I mean, look, we all know what COVID is, and we know what it potentially can do.
Yeah.
And
I know it's also a reasonable move. Put him in a hospital. Don't wait for him to have to go there when he's really, really sick. He should be, in a very safe environment like that. So that's not unusual. I think, definitely we'll hear it. What we will hear is if at any point Mike Pence needs to take over under the 25th Amendment.
The temporary.
We will have to hear that.
Yeah, that has to be official.
Oh, really?
If he gets intubated, or
why would we have to?
Because
if
we're obligated.
Pence
I think
is
they're
effectively in control. He's the acting president. I mean, I think
probably
obligated.
They probably have laws that obligate them to do.
Is it a law or is it a norm?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a law. I would imagine it's a law, but we'd have to look that up.
Can we assume any transparency about anything at this point?
No, I would think that they're gonna look. Trump hates showing any sign of weakness. He's made that perfectly clear. I think that he will want to keep any news about him not being healthy under complete wraps, and he does have a lot of control over information that goes out, but he can't control if they have to bring Pence to the forefront and have him become temporarily run the country. I mean, he can't hide that. It's not something that he could control the news on at all. We're gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is precedent for it.
And frankly, that's one of the reasons why we have a VP is, if something happens, it's not.
It happened when Reagan was shot and when he went under for surgery for a very short time. George Bush was the acting president during that time.
And if you remember Alexander Haig.
Oh my gosh! I'm in charge here. He
said,
walks up to the podium, basically, what is this, a coup? I mean, what the hell was that?
I think he was just trying to say that the White House is under control. There's no loss of.
Steve, give context here.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about when Reagan was shot and had to go under.
1981.
I guess Bush wasn't. He hadn't been notified yet, or he was somewhere else. But Alexander Haig, he was on Secretary of State or Chief of Staff.
Haig was, I believe, State. Yeah, I think so.
He was there. He was the senior cabinet member in the White House at the time, and he told the press that he was in charge. But I think he wasn't trying to take over. I think he was just trying to show that there's people here. The chain of command is intact. You know what I mean? He was saying, I'm the senior guy in the White House right now. Until Bush gets here, I'll keep things under control.
Right. But how it came off, it just came off as what?
But the press loves shit like that.
Yeah, of course.
What was the exact quote? Was it something like, I'm in control here or something?
I think he said, I'm in charge.
I'm in charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So 10 of, let's do the, let's get to the quiz, and then we will, we'll take some questions.
Before the quiz, we got to do Evan's puzzle.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
Sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
So to my left are three words: high, country, and stone. These three words all share another word that you can put with them to make them, different either words, phrases, and other things.
My guess is garden.
High garden or garden high, which
high garden.
Okay.
Country garden and stone garden.
Oh, that's pretty good, Jay. It's not the answer I had, but it's not a terrible answer at all. Bob?
I like garden, but that's not it. I can't think of one right now.
I couldn't come up with anything. I was trying to come up with a common word either.
Several people on Facebook did pretty early on. Road was one of the so high road, country road, stone road. That's not bad. That does kind of work. But the correct answer, at least for this purpose, was mile high, country mile, and milestone.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yep.
I like
just play on
puzzles
words
like this. I find them to be really interesting because you can almost feel your brain unconsciously chugging through whatever it's doing. There is a process that happens that you can detect.
Yeah.
You know what that process is called?
Yes.
What?
Cognition.
I do. It's called the hemihaloto. It's the hemihaloto process.
Subliminal cognition.
Abduction.
Yes, there is.
Abduction.
Yeah, so you think
it's not
and it gives you
induction,
an
it's
ab
not
workout.
deduction, it's abduction. It's when your brain is searching subconsciously for a connection between two things.
Cool.
And then what about that feeling we get when we finally, like, if you ever forgot
That
somebody's
eureka
name,
moment.
yeah, and you have that, oh, I remember now, and you actually get a little shot of dopamine when you remember.
You get a little reward.
Yeah. Little cookie.
Steve, for what it's worth, Al Haig's words were, "I'm in control here."
I'm in control here. There you go.
Oh, wow.
A little bit more nefarious than "we got this."
Yeah. No, I mean, it came off sounding, yeah, it did, but that's
Yeah.
not what he meant. It's clearly not
Right.
what he meant, but it came off
I
sounding.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm in
And
control.
remember, I mean, an assassination is like a sudden thing when which, everyone's scrambling. Nobody, 3 people know this thing and 4 people know that thing. Nobody's in full communication. You're just in a sort of this half panic mode, essentially. That's not what we're experiencing today with Trump.
Ian, why don't you put out the quiz? We'll have everyone join the quiz, and then we'll chit-chat a little bit while everybody is logging in.
Yeah, I just added it.
Sweet.
Cool. Let me pin it for everybody. Also, we got a message, not to give it away, from somebody who emailed in, but they said, Kara, I'm listening to the Friday live stream. The guys have spent the last few minutes talking about peeing from a distance. This is what happens when you're not here.
Wait, did Kara did Kara respond?
No, not yet.
Oh my God. That would have been so funny if she like, yeah.
What's the URL, guys? Dark
Facepalm.
Energy?
Oh, no, I'll send you the other.
Yeah,
don't
we get
talk
the
about our URL.
Yeah.
I
People
only
are
share.
joining.
I do not share this with anyone. I only put it on my Instagram.
Boom. There you go.
Don't
That's
forget,
the
guys,
URL
you
in
can
the chat.
turn on the sound effects right in the lower left-hand corner. Before
Unless
you
you're
click
Steve.
join game. And just as a point of clarity, George Hobb wrote the music, the sound effects music.
Sweet.
The URL, in case somebody can't see it for whatever reason, is darkenergy.games. Darkenergy.games.
Dark energy.
No, it's not as.
It should be pinned in both Facebook and YouTube.
Like talking about the whole peeing thing. Do you guys remember? I think it was someone from the 30s, was it, that he could imbibe liquids and regurgitate them with ridiculous showmanship. He could shoot water like, what was it, 10, 15 feet across the room. He would drink water and then drink a fuel, and then he would regurgitate the fuel, set it on fire, and then regurgitate the water and put the fire out.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that, Jay. Yes.
Yep.
That was intense.
A Lollapalooza stunt.
Yeah, was that his name? I don't remember. I haven't seen any. I saw a guy eat swallow a light bulb whole and regurgitate it.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Who's our magician friend?
How do you practice that?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's like
Small bulbs.
Yeah, but it's still like it's so scary. Imagine like the first time you do it. I'm going to try to swallow a light bulb. What? How do you even begin doing that?
Well, I don't think you swallow the bulb. I think you actually chew the glass.
You chew the glass.
No, there was a dude. I'll find the link.
This is a separate trick where you swallow it. Is it like a regular incandescent light bulb or a smaller one?
My memory was it was smaller. Let me see if I can find.
You've seen Teller put the bulb in his mouth and it lights up, right?
Yeah.
So Uncle Fester do it too.
Then there's the nail in your face.
Oh, the nostril, the nail,
the septum,
which is people think it's a trick, but no, you're actually putting the nail in your head. You have a space
you've got
there.
a cavity up there like that or something.
Just lube it up and you're good.
Yeah, it's kind
good
of
to go.
Somebody's asking, Bob, are those all masks or are they figurines and heads?
They're real heads, actually.
I will talk about it. That's part of my little head talk.
Before you do that, if anybody is experiencing the stream cutting in and out for whatever reason, try the YouTube link instead. It seems to be better.
And if you want the stream to go faster, just make your window smaller.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is how it works.
Works just like Jay's penis.
Okay.
We're talking about it.
Okay. So we have 380 contestants. we could synchronize. It seems like we got a lot of people watching or here. So when I count down, everybody will click the synchronize button. And when I count down and say click, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
I am 0 seconds behind.
I'm 0 seconds behind.
Yeah, I got 0.
We don't even have to click, and we still
You guys
click.
don't have to click, but yeah.
Hey, it's clickbait. What are you going to do? Ian, gotcha.
Okay, here's a question. Is there any data on efficacy on keto diet on certain types of epilepsy?
Yeah.
Is that question 1?
No, this is a question for me while we're waiting.
Oh, yeah, it's just a random question.
Yes.
Yeah, there is some data for epilepsy, but it's, the effect size is pretty small. But there does seem to be a subset of childhood epilepsies that do respond to those. This is the Lorenzo's oil thing. The fat diet which is essentially a keto diet where you have a very low carbohydrate diet. I've never been that impressed with the data, but it is something that is used, and there is some data to support it.
So anyone that's too far behind, you can just play along. It won't be synced up with the stream necessarily, but you can still play along to what's happening on the screen. Okay, I think we got everybody. So let's
go.
Start it up. Here we go.
Good luck, everyone.
And away.
Best of luck.
What do you call a female peacock? Peahens, peepors, towhee, topo.
I don't know why I just know that. I forget where I heard it. Probably a zoo.
Yep.
Woohoo!
It is a peahen.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, I knew that. Towhee is a separate kind of bird entirely.
That's right. Yeah, and it made up the other two.
A topu is what a towhee makes on the paper.
Someone said pee hole in the chat. Thank you.
Keyhole.
Very creative.
I did not know this piece of information before today.
Peahen. Yeah.
I've never heard of it. I never
Cock
heard
and
of it.
hen. There you go.
You're right. I came up with a lot of funny other answers I didn't use here.
The first bird domesticated by humans was a what? A domestic duck, a Japanese quail, a chicken, a goose.
Interesting.
Wow, this is a total guess.
Let's see. Duck,
Goose.
goose. That's never failed me before. Not since kindergarten.
Really, a goose?
Yeah.
Is,
See? Never failed me.
I didn't
Except I didn't answer that.
take a gander of that.
I didn't think.
Yes,
Yeah,
Ian.
good one.
Exactly.
I didn't think
Evan.
any of them could be domesticated, except the quail. I had no idea, so that's why.
Right, that's why I
guess
guessed that
You
one.
didn't
And,
think a chicken
Jan
could be domesticated?
What's better than a chicken?
No, I didn't think any of them could, except maybe perhaps a quail, which is why I went with quail.
But
Every night on my
chickens
dinner
are
plate, a
domesticated.
chicken's domesticated.
well,
Right. Oh,
know.
interesting.
what is that? I don't know. You
Next
just consider
question,
them
Bob.
All right, a
domesticated?
group of chickens is called a what? A peep, a cock, a chuckle, a scratch.
Holy crap! How could I not know this?
Cock, a doodle, a doo. Oh,
Are
really?
you serious?
Yep.
Oh no!
A
Is that why?
peep?
Is that why they're
I
called
hear
peeps?
a peep out of you.
Marshmallow peeps.
Is that why they're called
Wow.
I made up all the other ones.
A chuckle's awesome.
I thought that a scratch sounded the most cromulent.
It was better than a choke.
Yeah. A choke. Oh my god. There we go.
Maron.
Ian.
The only poisonous bird in the world is manakin, curassow, the hooded patui, I believe, and pita.
It's an odd thing.
I don't know.
You guys are no gimmies this week.
Steve, what? How about that one?
I mean, Ian, do you mean venomous or poisonous?
It says poisonous, but maybe.
Oh, I went by venomous.
Ian, read the notes.
Okay. In 1990, scientists preparing the skins of the hooded Petui, is that how you pronounce it? For museum collections experienced numbness and burning when handling them. It was reported in 1992 that this
that would be poisonous.
Some other Petuis contained a
good question.
Neurotoxin. I was like, damn.
Batrachotoxin.
We gotta exterminate
derivative in their tissues.
All right, next question.
That's all birds, huh?
Okay, next question. Most birds do not have intestines, a bladder, 2 kidneys, or a spleen.
I'm curious to know how well Steve is doing on this.
I don't know.
Wow, I almost went with that.
Doing terribly, Jay.
I'm bringing the
whole ship down, basically.
That's all right. These were toughies. These were toughies. Yeah. So they don't have a bladder, and what they do is, I guess it's because it makes them a lot lighter. Because holding on to all that liquid would dramatically change their body weight.
So they pee as they produce it.
It gets pushed into the solids, and that's it.
Well, I think that's the worst I've ever done.
Yeah, it's about the worst I've ever done. So.
Yeah, I got 60%. I didn't get the bladder one. I didn't get the chicken. I didn't get the goose. Thought it was the chicken.
Yeah, goose. I mean, the goose one, you either know it or you don't. You can't really puzzle it out.
My mother would have known the goose one.
Here, we'll stop this. I mean, does it matter? Birds aren't real, right?
They say that a chicken is the closest to a dinosaur. Like, there's 2 birds that are the closest to, I forget.
Yeah.
To the old
that quiz was for the birds.
But so when we eat a chicken,
guys.
when you eat a chicken, you're eating a dinosaur.
Yum.
Yes, that's correct.
Gosh, I eat dinosaur almost every day.
All right, let's see how we did here. So SGU tanked at 33% this week. The Falkland Islands.
The Falkland Islands, how awesome is that?
Yeah, came in as one of the top. And let's see who did not do well this year.
That's cool.
The Czech Republic
this year
just did not even try.
They checked out.
I'm just kidding. No, these were hard questions. These were hard. I am deliberately doing things like this to get my puzzle chops up.
To calibrate
a project that Steve and I are working on. And please do leave us feedback. You can, at the top of the page, it says fill out our survey if you haven't done it, or if you want to change your mind about something. We're still in development with the game. There's plans to make it a lot more interactive.
The experiment continues.
That's correct. But it's fun. I really do enjoy these weekly games.
Absolutely. I'll play games anytime.
So, Bob, my favorite mask that you have on there,
it's got to be this.
Yeah, that's a good. Let me see the face better. Can you turn it around a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny from the way you placed it. It looks like he's trying to.
I couldn't. This placement made sense, and then as soon as I put it down and saw that he was like licking the ear of this guy, I was like, Jay's gonna love it, and I just love the
How'd you know
idea.
that? How did you know I was gonna love that?
Because I know Jay. I mean, we have very similar senses of humor, and I find that funny.
Yeah.
It's such a goofy little thing. So yes, we're talking about my heads now. So these are not masks; these are heads. I've been saving these for October because I've been looking forward to putting all these heads on. So these heads, I love them. They're totally like 3D heads. They're mostly latex all the way around, and they could be either, kind of lame on the bottom here, where this is just foam and it's kind of lame. I mean, it's good for standing up, but the best severed monster heads not only have a great face, but also something in the bottom here. So this guy's got like weird, like little grubs coming out. But my favorite, probably one of my favorites, is this guy, this evil clown. Clowns are awesome. But look at under him, man. He's got all sorts of
tissue and bone.
So that's a great little detail to have the bottom like that. And so which one should I talk about next, Jay?
Well, I think the witch is pretty scary.
She might be my number one.
How do you know she's a witch?
Because she is just a creepy face.
Yeah.
I mean, and she has the best like it's green. Her inside the nasty bits in her neck are like green and stuff, and it's a great little touch because she's green. She's just so evil looking, and the open mouth scream is just great. So she's probably my favorite. But it's hard to get her not to spin. This guy. This guy is different because we put him in our haunted house. We put him on a tub, and you could like drop tickets or something inside his mouth to go down into the tub. So this is just a big latex, goofy little head that I love. This one's different because he's really hard. He's really hard, and he looks pretty awesome. I wish he had like a real pro paint job, because I think a really, really stellar paint job on him would look amazing. But he's still pretty awesome anyway. So yeah, so these are like my favorite heads that I've got in my collection. This guy, look at the detail on this guy. I mean, look at this face. I mean, that guy is just epic. So I built a body for him. So I just put him on top of the body, and he's good to go as a zombie in my cemetery at forestoffear.org if you want to check it out. So yeah, so these are my heads, and I love them. They're my babies.
'Tis the season.
They're your babies. Oh my God.
T-minus 29 days.
Yeah. All right. Man. Questions?
So, yeah, let's do some questions.
Sure. The first one is, would there be any benefit starting any approved antibody treatments for COVID right after testing positive, or are there risks related to this treatment that would make it a bad choice?
No, the convalescent plasma probably works best when you take it early on. There really isn't much risk to it, much of a downside. So if you're the question really is asymptomatic and positive, or you wait till you're symptomatic. Probably we're going to wait until you're symptomatic, if for no other reason that there's a limited supply, and why waste it on people who are never going to be symptomatic. But usually early in the course is going to be more effective because it keeps the virus down while you have time to build up your own immunity. And so then you can fight it effectively, and it will never get severe. Of course, the issue with the COVID is that the immune response it seems in certain genetic individuals that's what does most of the damage. It's not necessarily the virus itself, it's your immune response to it. And to answer that other question I'm seeing in the chat, Stephen, do you still shoot arrows? Yes, I do. My daughter and I shoot in the backyard all the time. Right now, so I've had a compound bow for a while. Mm-hmm. But now I went back to a regular recurve bow, and I shoot all the time. So
question about that. When you have the apple on your head, how steady does it have to be? Really?
Make sure you use a nice big apple.
Okay.
I prefer
the bigger the apple, the better.
Yeah, the green apples are better than the red apples.
They split nicely.
That way you can tell the difference if you get blood or not. Yeah.
Steve, I've got arrows in the basement of the house that are probably 40 years old. But these arrows, they look like conventional arrows, but the tip, I guess it's a hunting arrow, the tip consists of
razor blades.
4 razor blades.
Yeah, it's a hunting tip.
That come to a tip. I mean, those things are like so nasty. You got to handle them so carefully. I mean, what would you shoot with a razor blade tip arrow?
A deer.
Yeah,
that's
deer
a hunting
hunting.
tip.
I could never do that anyway. No. But yeah. So they're there. They're waiting for you, Steve. They're downstairs in the basement.
Good to know.
Even more fun.
Next question.
This one is asking, are there any examples of known hazards associated with administering vaccines that aren't associated with contracting the virus specifically?
There's the adverse reactions to vaccines. Serious adverse reactions are about 1 million to 1. Literally, like out of every 1 million people vaccinated, one person will get a serious reaction. and that usually consists of some kind of immune response. But it could also just be to like allergic to one of the adjuvants, for example. So, and many are so infrequent, it's even hard to know if it is actually a reaction to the vaccine, because it happens at a rate that could just be background level. But it's a reaction. It's not just contracting the illness from the vaccine. It could be your immune response or an allergic response or other response to one of the adjuvants.
Next question is, what's your thoughts on the recent article regarding sleep apnea linked to Alzheimer's?
I haven't seen it. Doesn't surprise me though. Sleep
apnea
is bad. Yeah, it's bad news. Sleep apnea is basically your throat closes up and you can't breathe. Obstructive sleep apnea. I'm assuming they're talking about. There's also just central sleep apnea where your brain just stops breathing. Obstructive sleep apnea is your brain's trying to breathe, but it's obstructed, because your muscles loosen up and it closes up. It's associated with a higher risk of heart attacks and strokes because you desaturate, your oxygen level goes down in the middle of the night, and that's not a good thing. It's also associated with weight gain because if you don't sleep well, you release hormones that make you hungry. Chronic sleep deprivation and oxygen deprivation are bad things for the brain. So it doesn't surprise me, but I haven't looked at the study yet.
Here's the question. Bob, you couldn't kill a deer, but could you go zombie whacking? First off, I have killed deer. I've hit 3 deer in my life driving, which is a horrible.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. Horrible.
You weren't
experience.
hunting.
One was definitely killed. Oh boy, $3,000 worth of damage to my car. But that was horrible. But it's always a horrible. But I would never kill one intentionally. They're just not a hunter. They're just big and beautiful. Could I go zombie whacking? Absolutely. Jay and I think would easily go out there. Especially, they're undead, right? They're not alive, and they just want to kill people. So to protect people and my family, I would engage in zombie.
But would
whacking.
You kill a deer to feed your family?
Yeah, if we were like in a post-apocalyptic situation and need to eat,
everything's fair game.
Yeah, everything's I'd have
your brain will command you on that one.
But zombie whacking would be, that would be rough too. You laugh at it and you're like, oh yeah, you could do that. And but man, can you imagine? You're
not used to it.
And
do you know how to field strip a deer? Could you cut it open?
No way.
No,
I could field strip a zombie. I could field strip a zombie.
You'd learn.
I studied that in detail.
Gotta catch up on our survivor skills, right?
It'll never happen, but sure.
Another question for Bob: those ads on Facebook for masks that look real, legit or not? I don't know if you've seen those.
That look real.
Like when you put them on, like Mission
actual
Impossible.
Other people.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah, I think that's what they're referencing.
Yeah, it might look good. You might be able to get away with that on a camera or in a picture or something, but I think up close and personal, I think you'd be able to tell the difference.
Mid distance to far
Mythbusters tested
background,
that.
You could, if it's well made.
It has to do with distance, right?
Yeah,
and the paint job is very important. But it's easy to have a zombie one because zombies, have distorted faces.
In fact, I ordered one just a few days ago. It's going to be part of my costume at the haunt. Because everybody's got to wear a mask, so I'm going to incorporate the mask into my costume, which I shall reveal probably in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, we all going to dress up. We're going to have costumes on that Friday, or we should.
Which Friday?
The Friday before Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes.
I probably won't be here. I'll be at the haunt.
What?
Yeah, we open at like 5. The kids come at 5 or 4:30.
That doesn't work, Bob. You got to change that.
I know, man. I'll be there. I'll put a dummy in a real dummy in the chair, and turn my webcam on for you. But
we got
a Discord question. How long does it take Bob to create the haunted house?
4 foot 1.
6
or
weeks.
the haunt, I guess.
The which one? The one in my house I spend 4 or 5 weeks on. The professional haunt is the man hours are insane because I've got it's me and 2 or 3 primary partners, and then there's a bunch of other people that help. So the man hours I've never I've never added it up. I think I did calculate it 10 years ago when we were doing the haunted corn maze. I calculated 500 man hours to get the haunted corn maze in decent shape. I'm not sure how accurate that was.
Yeah, Bob, can you do a live from the field little stream?
Sure, he could with his iPhone. He could easily.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do that on that Friday. You walk people through the haunt. Walk our viewers through your haunt.
Yeah, let's start talking about that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take video. I was planning on just making a nice video of the whole thing, but doing it live could be interesting. It's gonna be like a 20-minute walk, Steve. So maybe I could do some of the big highlights.
Do the best part of it.
How's the service out there? You got solid service?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had any problems.
Good.
Should be good.
Should be
middle
fine.
of town. It's not in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. That would be cool, Bob. I would.
Depends on
I
the
think
town.
that'd be fun.
Okay.
Another question is: have you heard anything about Regeneron's polyclonal antibody cocktail for coronavirus?
I've heard of it. I haven't done a deep dive on the evidence. I don't think there's a lot out there on it yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I read about that actually today, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's legit or not yet.
Yeah. I just know about it, but I'm not seeing the scientific evidence. We'll probably talk about it when there is something to talk about. When I could do a deep dive on the actual evidence.
Did you see? What there's somebody out here. His name is Old Uncle Bob. Okay, so Pepe Smith says, I translated the Chinese book title, and then it's
of our book.
Yeah, basically translating to Guide to the Criticism of Everything.
Yeah, so somebody emailed us with the translation.
I think that was Pepe.
And then I sent it to the publisher, and then the Chinese publisher did like a review. And I mean, they actually was like, I didn't expect them to do this. They got like 2 professors to give an opinion about the exact translation of the title.
Yeah, they're doing a paper on it.
Yeah, it was amazing. But
really?
Yeah, and the question was there a political connotation to that or not? Or is it more of a scientific connotation?
Oh, interesting.
And they said, no, this works for like a purely scientific connotation.
Okay,
this
good.
is really close to what you guys said. So,
so that's accurate then. Guide to the Criticism of Everything.
Yeah, basically criticism being like skeptical thinking.
Translates okay.
But really, they translated that word that they're translating as criticism is they really said that's pretty close to skeptical thinking, critical thinking.
Okay.
Not so much criticism, but whatever, it's I have to take their word for it, but I made sure they did their due diligence on the title. And it seems fine.
Good.
But I appreciate the people who have given us feedback on that.
Yeah, that's great.
Especially Pepe. Thank you, Pepe.
Yeah, it's one of those you can't like fake, checking that. You either know the language or you don't.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
But I always like to give like one bit of feedback just so they know we're paying attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to say, yeah, everything's fine, whatever.
Right.
You always want to, there's a missing dot over there, whatever. You have to do something so they know that you actually did a review and you're paying attention.
When I worked in the TV industry, a lot of our products were, from Sony, Ikegami, all big Japanese companies. So we would get the manuals for these products, technical, but also, straight read stuff. And you could absolutely tell this was a Japanese translation gone wrong into English. And it's like, okay, they just they tried to use the right words, but the right words didn't make it into the book or into the manual. Yeah. It was just funny to see. So I want our book to go through Japanese translation and come back and retranslate into English and see how it comes out on the other side.
Yeah. There's just no direct translation for a lot of words and concepts. It's really a completely different language.
What instruments, if any, does everyone play, and when can they see that in action?
Ooh. I mean, I play the piano, although I haven't played in a while. But I took, Bob and I took lessons when we were younger. I could play a little bit now. If I practiced a song, I could probably play it. And I sort of self-taught myself the flute, so I can play a real flute. Mm-hmm. Again, I'd have to practice something. I haven't picked it up in a bit.
I'm not active in any instruments. I've drummed a little bit, and my daughter drums. So
of course, I also play the drums. Hello.
Yeah,
I actually played in a band in college.
How'd that go?
It was fun.
I play the bass guitar, and I play an acoustic guitar. I have behind me. So I play my acoustic guitar all the time. I just like learning songs, and I practice finger picking and stuff like that. But I mean, it's at a total hobby level. I used to be in a band. I was in a band for 21 years, and it was an amazing amount of fun. It was ridiculously fun. But acoustic guitar is great. It's very relaxing. It's there's a million songs to learn, and you'll never learn everything there is to learn about guitar. And
was yours Flugelhorn or Glockenspiel? I forgot.
Flugelhorn.
Okay.
The flugelhorn?
Yeah, that's Bob's instrument.
Dr. Seuss.
I know one Jethro Tull song. Somebody said, "Love to hear."
On the flute.
Yeah.
Love Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Jay, what was the name of the band?
Jethro Tull.
We had a few different names. Like the first name we had was
Smith Jones.
In Rare Form.
In Rare Form was our first band name. Then
that was a good one.
Yeah, then Smith Jones was like our cover band name, which was fun. Yeah, I could play the guitar sometime on the live stream. You're not gonna be blown away or anything,
No, we all suck. We're amateurs.
Yeah,
yeah, and Jay and I both play the didgeridoo, although Jay actually can play it better than I can.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. I'll play the didgeridoo next time too. Yeah.
Play a mean triangle. Ooh, I get all three sides going. It is chaos.
Yeah. So when we went to Australia last year, a listener asked me to play. I don't think it was his band. I'm not 100% sure if it was his band or if it was like a pickup band. But he asked me to join them to play a cover. So I'm like, sure, I'll do it. I'll play a cover with you. So he was trying to locate a left-handed bass for me, which he thought wasn't going to be that difficult. Turns out it was difficult. So then he said, can you play it on a right-handed bass? And I'm like, I will try. I think I can. So I was trying to even see, can I practice this? So I figured out how I could actually practice it on my bass so I can just see where the notes are backwards, you know what I mean? Because it's upside down. So I just figured that out. And then when I get there, he goes, all right, here's the bass. And it's also a 6-string bass. It wasn't even a 4-string bass. And it makes it complicated because the 6-string bass
spacing is different.
The spacing of the strings is much closer. So you have a muscle memory on where the distance is on the average bass. Your muscle memory came into play. And it took some concentration. I had to just really think about what I was doing. But I still pretty much pulled it off. It came out good.
And there is video of that, I think, on the Patreon, right? Didn't we post that? Or maybe it's on Instagram. And also that was the guy's name is Conspiracy of One is what he goes by.
Yeah, he was
on
awesome.
Instagram.
He was a great guy. Cool. We had a lot of fun working out the details. So this is my didge right here. I can't play it right now because I actually would have to set up a microphone on the floor. So because you got to play it like this with it on the floor, and I'm not prepared.
Gosh, I remember you toting that thing around Australia and having to ship it back. It was boy.
I packed this thing in a sleeve of bubble wrap. That's how Steve and I got.
It was impressive.
Home. Yeah, I was super worried that it was going to get cracked, but it's a fun instrument. It's really cool. Yeah. It's very meditative and relaxing. It feels good. The vibration actually feels good. And I learned how to circular breathe, which took a while. Did you have to learn any kind of circular breathing, Steve, with the flute, or it doesn't work that way?
Not with the flute, no. The flute, you have to know when to breathe. Breathe in the pause, but you don't circular breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the didgeridoo. It's a really I wish that I had access to people. I would love to have someone come over and play some hand played drums and stuff like that. I think it would go really well with that and be fun. Yeah, I drink a couple of beers and do something like that would be a good time. Well, Steve, you don't have any drums, do you?
I have some tom-toms. I don't have a full kit. No, I need to get one. I'd love to have one. I don't have a place to put it.
Yeah.
At this point in time. So it would be in my basement, which is now the SGU studio. So if you want a drum kit in our studio, yes, I would like to have one.
24-hour show, drum kit set up.
Could do that.
On the green screen?
Yeah, sure. Gotta give me some
the 12-hour show. Yeah, I mean, we could do a lot of a lot of fun stuff like this on the 12-hour.
We'll get George up, but George hates playing with amateurs, though.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah, you can tell.
We did a drum thing with him once. I mean,
I know, but it was.
Oh yeah, and he cringed the whole time.
He didn't play though. He just told us what to do.
Yeah.
Of course, we were terrible.
Of course, nobody wants to play.
I know.
It's painful.
I know.
Jay, somebody said close up to the screen that didgeridoo looks like that Wang from the last episode of The Boys.
Right? Remember that? That was amazing. That
was
part,
a hell of a scene.
Like
when you realize what it is, like, poof.
I don't want to do spoilers on this. I don't know. We passed it enough where we could talk about it real quick, but holy shit.
Don't talk about it.
Nah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Bob. I'll call you later tonight.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it.
Well, the next episode's tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the love sausage. Right. No
Another question is, have you heard of bike shedding as a term?
Bike shedding?
Bike shedding. It's,
B-I-K-E.
let me see. I have the definition. Let's see. Parkinson's law of triviality. And what is bike shedding? The definition explains the lesser-known principle formulated by Parkinson, which is about time wasted on non-essential activities while important matters are left unattended.
I don't know.
Like
who does
gaming when you have work to do, kind of?
I guess so. Law of triviality is what it's called.
Yeah, but the way I look at it,
there's always something to do.
Is doing unimportant but fun tasks is good for your mental health, so it's not wasting time. It's
you gotta take breaks. No, it's part of a healthy routine.
The whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, and and as far as I'm concerned, there's always something to do. There is not ever nothing to do.
Yeah, never. There's never nothing to do.
Breaks are so normal.
All right, one last question because we're at
finally we got a question that some of our Discord members were asking. Can we get more style options for T-shirt designs and hoodies, etc., and merch?
Yeah. So all right. So this is the update. So Ian and I experimented with Printful, and I'm not that satisfied with any print-on-demand type service. But we're gonna still use it. But I am talking to another company that could do. It wouldn't be so much print-on-demand as it would be warehousing, which means that it's just a different way to do it. But we could do that. We're going to put up the Nexus design for this year's Nexus because there was a technical difficulty screen that people really liked, and we had a request for that. And yeah, I could put some time into that and put more designs up. I have a file full of like every shirt that we've ever sold.
Yeah, we should just put all the ones we have up. Absolutely.
Yeah. And someone said that they would like a cap. Like I have, you must have seen me wear the SGU trucker hat on here. The trucker hat that I did a ton of research. I found a great company that sells good blanks, and then I had to get the patches made, and they were hand sewn on, and they're great. They're just hard to sell because again, to get your hands on the good SGU trucker hats I have, the only way to get them is for me to ship them. And like I've said before, I don't ship anymore. I don't ship anymore from here. No more shipping. Get it out of your head. But if you want them, you can get them at any live event that we do. I will bring them to the live events. And I'll tell you right now, if we sold a trucker hat on Printful, it would be a complete piece of shit. So you don't want that.
All right, that's it. So thank you all for joining us for the Friday live stream. These things are always fun.
Fun.
Yep. I wanted to also take an opportunity to thank everybody who over the last few weeks has responded to our calls to become a patron of the SGU.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We're over 4,000. We're preparing for the 12-hour show. Jay and I have to just lock down a date. We should do that this week, Jay. By next week, we'll have a date, right, for the 12-hour show. Let's commit to that.
Yeah, so right now it's like the second half of January at some point.
Yeah, but we'll come up with a specific date. It's probably going to be a Saturday, right?
Yeah, we're gonna try to pick the best time to suit the most people. The one thing that Steve and I did discuss was because Steve was like, if we get up at 6 and start the stream, I'm like, there is no getting up at 6 to do a 12-hour show because that means I have to get up at 3 in the morning, which means I'll be we have to. It has to be okay for us. It's probably just going to be like a 10 a.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. And most people will have, during those 12 hours, most people will be able to watch.
We'll have some window where they could watch live.
But if I don't get sleep and I'm getting up at dark 30 in the morning, forget it. Just forget it. With all the technical shit going on, me and Ian will lose our minds. But yeah, and just to clarify, when I say I don't ship, that means I personally don't put things in envelopes and send them to people anymore, because I did that and it was literally liquid anxiety. I will never do it again. But we use Printful as a on-demand online shipping service, so they can do it for us. So you can order shirts from us if you want. And yeah, we'll do it. We'll put more designs up for you guys.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Wash your hands, wear your masks, stay safe.
Be careful. Do something nice for friends and family. Just do something nice and make people happier, because we're going through an amazingly hard time right now, guys. This election is going to tear this country apart.
We'll get through it. But in the meantime,
this too shall pass.
Do something for people that you love and people that you know to make them feel better. And if everybody does it, everybody will have a better day.
Time to work on my skeletons. That's what I'm doing.
Good night, guys.
The boys. Night, guys.
Hi, guys.
Night.
All right, I got to run. Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.